Good evening, radio fans, and welcome back to another episode of Davey Mac's Tales from the Satellite. I'm your host, Bobby Tamburo, and joining me as always is the star of our program, the reason why you tune in, the Irish Cobra, David McDonald. Welcome aboard, Davey Mac.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you to all the Tales from the Satellite fans. Gotta thank everyone for their incredible patronage. Show is going better than ever. Wonderful audience. Everyone is so supportive. Is it possible they're too supportive? I'm going to tell you why.
Never.
These crazy Tales from the Satellite fans, we threw it out there in the last episode that Robert wants to do a special from Six Flags Great Adventure, second biggest amusement park in America, by the way, only behind Disney World. And Robert said we should do a special from Great Adventure. I was dubious because it just sounds like Robert wants to go to Great Adventure. So
yes, I do want to go to Great Adventure. We both love amusement parks.
I do.
I understand your qualms, but I think our love of amusement parks will make this episode work. I'm especially devoted to them.
So I was dubious for that. For number one, it just sounded like a day at Great Adventure. Number two, technically wise, I said, how is this possible? But really, the number three biggest reason is, what the shit does it have to do with satellite radio? Absolutely nothing. Then I thought,
well, that is where my plan would fall apart, but I'm good at finding that last little tie-in, and I do remember one obscure story of you going to Six Flags and recounting, so maybe we could tie that in somehow.
I actually have a few really good Tales from the Great Adventure stories. I'm actually writing them down because now I'm thinking, well, again, we do this to please our wonderful fans, the wonderful Tales from the Satellite fans, and insanely, a few fans said, "Oh, you got to do the Great Adventure show." I go, but it has nothing to do. But now that I think about it, there's a few stories that I remember. There's at least one that is there's one that took place, during my Ron and Fez era. I think maybe we will be doing this Great Adventure special.
Hell yeah, I think it's going to happen. I'm looking forward to it, and I'll have all the equipment ready to go, locked and loaded. It's getting fall, which is, in my opinion, the ideal time to go to an amusement park. Like, once a significant portion of the population has gone back to school and can't be there in the lines and shit, so we're this close.
All right.
I will say, if you're watching this on YouTube and you didn't get a chance to vote and you're going, this sounds like a terrible idea, why didn't they listen to me? It's because you did not subscribe. I can tell you personally, it's $2.50 a month if you want to get your vote in there to go to Six Flags, because I sure as hell did.
Come on. And $5 for the Dogsy tier, which gets you the Davey Mac's Tales from the Q&A, where I read letters, answer questions from you, the audience, doing another one of those this week. Did one last week. I'm going to do another one this week. But that's an excellent point. Again, this is a Patreon show. If you're watching on YouTube, understand that if you're a few months behind, the benefit of Patreon is you're getting these shows at least a month, sometimes 2 months in advance before anybody else. So a lot of people are loving the show. Just subscribe to Patreon for that. For a few other things, the Davey Mac Sports Program, Yaddle Chattles, I always put them on Patreon first, before YouTube, before iTunes, Spotify, anywhere else. So you do get the early access. But yes, It seems like we might be doing a Six Flags Great Adventure show. I do think it'll be highly unique. And I'll just blame Robert and you, the audience, if the show doesn't go swimmingly.
It's the opposite of a double-edged sword, because if it goes great, it'll be a fun episode, it'll be unique, it'll be visually stunning, and if it goes terribly, sometimes when things fall apart, the audience likes that too. So either way, we
Excellent.
win. I'm picturing, can you do the Six Flags dance?
No.
You know, you can't
the
do
old guy?
I'm telling you, if we get you in that outfit and open the video with this, biggest thing you've ever done. You
Well,
could be the new face of Six Flags.
Actually,
That guy's got to be dead.
I just thought of another Six Flags story.
Oh, boy.
Where I tried out to be an announcer. Oh my God. I have way more Six Flags stories than I try. Yes, I tried out to be some sort of basically like a Six Flags Great Adventure cast member who would then do announcements on the stage.
Oh, hell yeah.
Because they have a theater. And actually one of the cooler wrestling events I ever went to was there. Mick Foley, Jerry Lawler, a whole bunch of stars were there. And then they had an actual event where they had wrestling matches and stuff. And it was pretty fun, pretty cool. So I tried out to be that guy, the voice of the Six Flags Great Adventure Theater, the PA guy. Rejected.
Well, they fucked up, didn't they?
Yeah,
you went on to show them. But let's not spoil any more gold.
No more gold.
Because this is all coming from our Six Flags
What are we talking about today, Robin?
Well, today, Dave, we're talking about somebody who's probably spent more time in the Davey Mack empire, in the Davey Mack universe, than anybody else. Young Stan the Man and his daycare situation and how it led to a knockdown, drag out, Muhammad Ali, Frazier, Rumble in the Jungle-esque fight between you and Fez Whatley.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Controversy.
Yeah.
Am I
the
right?
opposite of a Six Flags show.
Whoa. We're going to need the Six Flags show just to cleanse the palate.
After this one, for sure.
Yeah, heated emotions. I don't know. This was a weird phase in our relationship. It seemed like it was a constant back and forth, or there was battling or bickering, or I don't know why. Things were a little bit off the rails, but that was the case. And obviously, when that's the case, things get a little bit crazy. This was absolutely one of those times.
For sure. And I never heard it called this before until Ron said it himself, but he referred to it as the red state, blue state era, where he was like, you guys are all part of the team, but you have your ideas and you keep them over there, and you have your ideas and you keep them over there. And I thought it was such a brilliant summary.
That's great. That's hysterical. I suppose you're right. There wasn't a ton of, a ton of talking backstage. Definitely no going out for a cocktail or two. I still went out there with the old Chris Stanley and maybe whichever intern was there. But this. How about this Cold War? I like Cold War. Red state, blue state's great.
That works too.
It was almost a Cold War situation as well.
Just not talking, essentially.
Yeah.
That's too bad, but it does make sense what was going on.
Like I said, we're going to keep all this in mind. The good thing is things were reconciled. Everything was cool. Everything is reconciled. But we got to be fair. If we're going to do Davey Mack's Tales from the Satellite, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about fun moments, big moments, famous moments, legendary moments, and your controversial moments, which this one is.
And I think you both wanted to resolve the situation in the moment too. But we're just on such different wave paths that everybody's attempt to try to rectify made it worse. The other guy viewed as an attack instead of an olive branch. Literally, it all starts because Fez offered you $2,000 a month to pay for daycare, which was the $2,000 might not have been the exact number, but it was basically he would pay for daycare, whether it be you send your kids there or somebody come to the house.
Right.
And he even says, and this is a quote I wrote down, I want to help do that, which is give you more freedom. And I want to throw out that olive branch there for all the fighting these past 3 months.
Okay, so there was a couple of things. This is when I really did want and deserved more money from SiriusXM. My top salary there was $37,000. That's a disgrace. Obviously, I was way more valuable to that show and that company in general, because I worked 6 days a week. Let's not forget the last 5 years between Special Delivery with Sam and Dave and then Davey Max Sports Program XL. And yeah, this was a time where, dude, pay me what's right. I know your O&A guys make $75,000 and there's 8 of them. And I know that this was not denied, because during my contract dispute and salary, when when Rob Cross came in there and came into the studio one day to negotiate my deal, or just to talk about me wanting more thing in front of Ron and Fez, which I just thought, it's practical, that may be against the law. It might be illegal to do. I mean, you're talking about me and my finances and what I'm asking for. Why are you doing it in front of anyone? And when I said, hey, Rob Cross, I know that, some of the O&A guys, they get $75,000, right? He didn't say no. He goes, well, that's Opie and Anthony. You guys are Ron and Fez. So, what a ridiculous insult from Rob Cross on the Ron and Fez show. I'll never forget that happened. But it was 1,000% happened. So, and he said that in front of Ron and Fez. It's so insulting to everyone, the staff, the hosts. So insulting. It's shocking. And by the way, it's also wrong. At that time, and for the last couple 2 or 3 years, ask Opie. Opie would be like, no wonder your guys' show is hotter than ours. When he would drop in our show, he would always say, no wonder your guys' show is more popular than ours. So if Opie is saying that on the air, on the Ron and Fez show, there's truth to it. We had gotten way more popular. I mean, not the O&A, but just in general, the show was very successful.
Growing, massively.
Not because of me, because of Ron and Fez. But with 2 producers and one guy who's really kicking ass on the air, I am a part of it, and I did deserve a bump up, an upgrade. Sorry, I did.
Absolutely. So it seems like Rob Cross screwed up 2 times big. One, discussing it in front of Ron and Fez, and
probably not allowed to do that. It's probably something that had I looked into, like with HR, human resources, like there's got to be laws or rules against that to go in and start talking about my contract and my money in front of other people who I work with, including 2 of my bosses. What?
Yeah, but more importantly, he insulted them to their face about Opie and Anthony. But who's going to fight harder for you or have your back more than those 2 guys, right? You even, at the end of this whole argument, that's the last thing we really sum it up with, is you could not be more thankful to Ron and Fez for all the opportunities they gave you. Like, you've now just brought the 2 allies on board and go, there's no disputing what he said because he did it in front of them. So now they're going to have your back even more.
Right? Absolutely. Like, 100%. And so it was just, I don't know. It was very chintzy from Rob. So this was a time where, I was asking for more money, and then Fez came up with the solution to.
Now, it seems out of the blue to just go, I'll pay for daycare so you can make your wife work again.
It was a troll job that was not. Yeah, it was. Come on, man.
Oh,
if you want to help out, then help out. But like, I'll pay for daycare so your wife can work. It's like, okay, first of all, you don't know the home life, you don't know the situation. It's insane.
Or the relationship thing. He didn't understand, like, if you come home and go, hey, good news, you're getting a job, that's going to lead to an awkward situation.
Yeah,
like, he just didn't have the context for that.
It wasn't solving anything. It really wasn't. And at that point, actually, we had 2 little. What year is this?
This was you did have 2 kids at this point. I can tell you the first one happened in February, and then it was April.
Yeah, look, I don't want to give everything away, okay? But couldn't take him to daycare. All right? I had,
And
The little guy had vomiting cyclical. Okay,
yeah, you brought that up. Yeah.
syndrome. Okay, it was a very scary time, and they could not go to daycare when one of my kids, who's a baby, is literally having a terrible thing where you got to throw up and this and that. It's
this
horrible. So
this
daycare.
argument itself happened within 2 weeks of a major surgery.
Yeah,
So like it wouldn't have worked, but perhaps Fez didn't have that context. But before you even
oh,
get
he did.
angry
He
about
did.
it,
I told everyone. I told them.
no. But I'm saying like the understanding or just like
Oh,
you've gone through it. I don't think he meant to not. He says several things in here, and he may have just been that good at making himself seem reasonable. But he says one thing like at a point you were like, you couldn't get it. You wanted to get a second job, but you couldn't because there weren't enough hours in the day. Your wife couldn't because she had to watch the kids. So in Fez
yeah.
minds, he goes, "Oh, I'll just solve that problem," but doesn't think through the wake of solving a problem. Like, and he may have had the best intentions.
I
It
mean,
may
that's
have been a
true.
troll job, but
That
at
is
this
true.
point,
But I will say, when someone explains it about, hey, did why,
you know what? Let me get it. We're getting ahead.
okay.
Before we even get to that, you've come back from break, and this is when you're making a decision. Fez asks about it on air because he initially made the offer on air, and you were kind of stone cold, like you didn't have a real response. I think you were truly trying to take a step back and not exacerbate the situation by turning down a nice gesture in someone's mind. And then you're like, let me think about it over break. And so you come back and you say no, and you start to give the reasoning. But before you do, you say you made the decision while floating in a lake in Ireland.
What?
I guess your mom and dad were overseas in Ireland and you went to visit and you were floating in a lake and made some decisions. Is that a true story?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't. I've been to Ireland and Scotland multiple times. Unless I'm literally having a CTE moment, I don't believe that I was there around 2009 or 10, whenever this was.
Maybe they were in Ireland and you went and were floating in the ocean at the.
Yeah,
Maybe that's what it. Maybe I
yeah.
misunderstood. But
I also love swimming, and I go to pools all the time. Like 365, the Atlantic Club in Wall, New Jersey's got the pool, so I usually do a lot of swimming. And I do find swimming and shower time both have to do with water. It's very meditative.
I was going to point that out. It seems like whenever you are doing writing or planning or anything like that, I hear, "Oh, I was doing a shower bath shower," because that's when you do your best thinking.
That's right. That's
I
right.
like that.
That's my meditation Jedi time.
So you were in the ocean, we'll assume. Ron points out perhaps the best way if Fez was trying to truly be generous and make an olive branch to make this offer would have been perhaps off air. By putting it on air, it kind of puts
Makes
it
it a
out
bit.
there. Yeah, it makes it a thing.
It makes it a bit.
And you kind of jump in and Ron goes, but at the same time, the reason why Fez felt the need to make a grand gesture was because all the East Side Davidians were chiming in going, you owe Dave for having your back. So it could have been could it have been potentially solved off air? Maybe, but I don't think so. Because if you guys tried to have this discussion off air, I think it would have gone the same way. And
But
then
I
that would
never
have boiled over onto air.
Right. And it's not like I sicked people on Fez or anything like that. It's that people listened to the show and were defending me because it was, hey, I'll pay for the daycare, which is not going to it wasn't possible with a sick child. Okay. I'm just like 1 year or 2 year old. Okay. I'm just being honest. So it just simply wasn't possible. And people said also, hey, man, that's, just give them the money. And I mean, I hate to say it, but if the gesture is I'm going to spend $2,000, if he had just given it to me directly, that would have solved it, all of the things, because it would have been able to pay for rent, which was $1,850. So that's where it would have went to, and I was putting in 14-hour days. Okay,
You absolutely were.
I was leaving at 7 a.m. and getting back at freaking 9 o'clock at night. So, and not complaining, but it was long days, man. And it's like, I didn't have the time. So if he had done that, then everything would have been cool. But hey, listen, I mean, I understand. It's just an odd thing to be like, okay, I'm going to help you out by forcing one of your family members to work to get a job.
Yeah, and there is a little more context we'll get into in a bit there, but it's especially tough when you know that the 2000 number came from that's what Fez gave Earl
Oh my.
as the thank you. So that's why people chose that number, like, oh, give Dave that, and he had just given it to Earl. It wasn't like I'll give you this to go to film school or
But wait,
photography
wait, wait. He
school.
gave Earl $2,000 for what?
I think it was like a thank you for covering him for a bunch of months. I don't know the callers are calling in and giving this context. So maybe that's why it was, oh boy, you didn't know this. Oh God, we broke Dave again. You
I'm
blacked
gonna
this out.
say maybe Fez was playing around because I can't imagine he would have given Earl $2,000 in cash while he's doing this to me.
No. Earl was gone. This was a previous thing he had done in the past as a way of
Gotcha.
thanking Earl, and people were using it as the comparison going,
I
just do
see.
that for
Yep.
Dave and
Oh,
do it every month.
yes. Yes. Now I know what you're talking about. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. I mean, every month, I don't know. That almost seems like too much too. Like, I'm not sure if I even would have wanted every month. I should have come back with, hey, look, forget about the $2,000 every month. If you want to help me out in a real way, give me $1,000. That will actually help me out tremendously.
Yeah.
Because even if it doesn't cover rent, it covers all of the bills. So, that helps out.
I can earn rent. Yeah.
So I should have. So that's on me.
But
I didn't come back with a strong, negotiation. You got to have a counter, and I did not. So minus 50 points for the Dave man.
before you take points away from yourself and fuck off guy in the comments who says I dick ride Dave, I got to point out that you go into this argument with a ton of trepidation. It's clear you didn't want to do this on air,
It
in
was
my opinion.
uncomfortable.
The first thing you go is, I really want to move on and everything like that, but I'm not going to. Take money, 2,000 or whatever from Fez's pocket. It just doesn't seem right. And with that statement, you could see normally if we throw you the ball in anything, whether it be the Davey Max Sports program, you take it and run.
Yeah.
But here you're like, hey, this isn't my thing. I came in to talk about the Masters.
This was too uncomfortable for me because in all honesty, and I know I got married on the air and blah, blah, blah. Yep. You're right. But, sometimes there are things where you really don't want to discuss your family members. And this was getting too much. This is like of course, now I'm divorced from her, but this was the then wife, but also my child. And
that's a big
things
difference.
were getting way too personal for me. I'm having to talk about way too much personal stuff. And I did want to move on, but it's difficult, it's you're involved in the show and it's like, you also got to contribute on the air. You got to bring, your life to the table or to the table there. So I don't know. It was tough. It was a tough time.
When you're dealing with everything you are, right? You're dealing with working and commuting. You're basically gone 14 hours a day. When you get home, you have a newborn and then another newborn who's ill. You don't have time to channel the energy. Like you can't create a separation. Like I feel all this angst, let me turn it into something else for the show. It's coming from here. This is what's on your mind. And we've all been there. I get that. And I see where you're coming from. So the fight kind of goes on because you say it felt condescending.
Yeah, I mean,
I see where you're coming from. But before we even get to that, let me ask, looking back, now this was the era of grand gestures and troll jobs being misread. Like if you'll recall the Machiavellian barbecue, where you might be doing something nice, but in reality, it's kind of tongue in cheek and it's back and forth a bit. Do you think we both know it at his heart, Fez wanted the best for you and was trying to help you, even if he was mad, but do you think this was a move to actually help you, or do you think it was a troll job for the air?
That's a great question. You finally done your job for a goddamn change.
Well, this has been Tales from the Satellite, folks. It's not getting better than this. We've hit the pinnacle. We'll see you for the Six Flags episode.
Robert, I never want to come on here and BS. I want to come on here and be sincere and raw and honest. I don't know. Maybe it was a combination of both. Maybe it's kind of funny. It's kind of, I'm kind of it's a little indirect, and we'll see how he reacts. But if I had said yes, I'm sure he would have done it. And so it's like maybe it was a combination of both. Like, hey, I want to have a little fun with this, but I also want to help him out. I don't want to throw Fez under the bus because I really don't know. Honestly, only he could answer that question. I don't know
And
if this was troll
okay,
or if this was sincere, because I thought it was trolling. Okay, so here's from my perspective, I thought he was trolling.
that
Okay.
makes sense in the moment for sure.
But then like I would try to explain why it's offensive. You're now in control of my family. Like you are calling the shots for what my wife has to do, where my kids are located. Like no, like you can't like a guy, like no one should be like, hey, no, you're kind of in control.
Would
It's
you
not,
say
that's the money wasn't need for the daycare. I just needed a raise at Sirius XM. I needed the deserved raise of 37,000 to about 60, which is what I was asking for. What I was asking for is the raise. That's what I needed. I don't need anything else. We don't need people getting jobs. I just needed the raise. So
I get
I
that?
don't know. I thought he was trolling, but it's quite possible he was not.
Would you say you felt beholden to Fez, like he's your sugar daddy?
That's that again. Again, that's another thing. Yeah, absolutely. It's
And
like now, like, yeah, you are beholden to someone. It's a good word. So there's that too, I no.
so that's kind of the whole turning it down, but there was one more facet there that Ron really keeps trying to push the narrative of, and that's that other people got in your ear over break. Whether it be Beanie and your dad, whether it be Casey, whether it be whackbag.com, he was saying that people got in your ear and said turn it down. Now you said you floated and had your moment where you went into the woods and met your spirit animal and all that stuff. Was it a bit of both? Was
No,
it
no one got in my ear.
truly
I
just
make that
you?
the no,
I,
I knew it was going to be a problem right away. The second it was said, I knew, oh man. I knew it was going to be some sort of issue, which is, like it's not actually, in some ways, it's not kind of helping
might
because
make
it's like,
things worse.
yeah, because God forbid there wasn't, and there would have been, cyclical vomiting syndrome is real and it was happening constantly. It was really scary. We had to go to ER a lot of times. If it was at daycare center, I don't know what you hear these daycare center stories. No, for real. And it's like, how are they going to handle this?
Oh,
Is
absolutely.
he gonna suffocate? Because one of the problems was when you were throwing up so much, couldn't get oxygen, couldn't get air. That's why I would zoom over the ER. So that just wasn't a realistic possibility. So again, once you take that into account, that they can't go to daycare for that reason, then
There's
it's
no
yeah,
conversation ends.
the conversation's kind of over.
Yeah.
But
So perhaps counter negotiation would have been your best strategy.
that's on me. I'm gonna take that. All I had to do was a counter, and it was the counter didn't exist. So that's on me. I'm taking that.
It is, and the callers call in at this point and to wrap up the show, and they seem kind of split. A couple of them are go, if you were paid what you were worth, Dave, you're at least a six-figure guy. A couple of them go, Feds, you offered him money to help. You turn him down. You go, no, he didn't really. It wasn't just this out of the blue thank you for helping, and I realize you earned this money. It was he bashed my wife for 3 months straight. You accidentally slip and say he banged my wife for 3 months straight, which made me and Ron laugh pretty hard while listening to it. And then you go, that was his way of trying to make himself feel better without realizing he would just make the situation worse. And Ron then introduces his red state, blue state system and goes, we could have done this all off air. Like, I come in and go, hey, what do we have for the show? Are you guys
Yeah.
talking? And you're just sitting in your own zones doing your own thing. Like, you could have had that conversation, but nope, we got a red state, blue state. We're all part of the same team, but we don't talk to each other. We don't like each other. We take shots at each other.
Yeah, definitely a civil war of sorts, and a complete disconnect. Difficult time.
I like to think of it as a Kobe Shaq situation where you guys are still winning championships. You just don't get along.
And that, I mean, from Kobe Shaq or Thurman Munson, Reggie Jackson, yeah, you can find plenty of sports examples where that occurs. And I agree with Ron on what on his analysis.
Yeah. It makes sense. Like it could have all kind of happened off air. And it seems put to bed. Now, again, for these 4 months, there are shots back and forth. There's Machiavellian barbecues,
4 months.
Yes. So I believe it happened in February, or 2 months. I'm sorry. I did my math wrong. February, 2 months to April is when the next incident
February,
happened.
March, April. That's 3 months.
Thank you. I'm bad at math.
Jesus, though. That's a long time to be fighting.
I mean, at this point, it wasn't what we've talked about this a little bit on here before. It wasn't so much you fighting. It was Fez was bashing Casey for a while. We like that he even acknowledges that and says this is part of why he was trying to make up for that. He did apologize at one point, but it was that. Then the other fights that are going on are Casey and an intern of the show, Lily, going back and forth, and you're just stuck in the middle and defending your wife. You're trying to make good radio. You're like, can't we all just wait till after the show and then we can fight? What you know what I mean? Like, but to make good radio, you kind of take sides. Fez is good at radio too. He realizes he hasn't been doing as much, so he has an opportunity to make radio by complaining about a barbecue, and people are still talking about it 3 times in an episode that has nothing to do with it. So it wasn't so much fighting. It was more just, kind of you stuck in the middle of bickering.
Yeah, it was bickering. It was bickering. It was not a good time. The conspiracy theorist might say, was it do you want me to leave the show maybe? That's what a conspiracy theorist might say. I don't know if I don't think that is the case.
No.
But I've seen or I've heard that conspiracy like at bars when people talk about me, this scenario that was brought up. That sounded like he just wanted to drive you away from the show. I don't think that was the case. I think it was more. That's what this was what Fez was bringing to the table. Hey, feuds. Yeah. I mean, feuds work.
Yeah,
like you can't argue with him on that.
Especially self-contained feuds.
Yeah, I mean, feuds work. So because of that, I think it was more. I'm bringing content to the table because everyone knows feuds and rivalries work. No. I think that's what it was, and no conspiracy type of deal.
I think 100% that. I think the equally crazy conspiracy to Fez trying to drive you away from the show would be that Fez called it 100% right. Right? Like you could make the argument he was attacking the person that you're now divorced from, and he kind of saw the right, you know what I mean? So like you could make that. I think in reality what happened though was people were getting in his ear a little bit that Dave was stepping up. So what's a way to get yourself involved with Dave's new momentum is exactly like you said, a feud. Like feuds get attention, they make good radio, and I think that's 100% what he was doing. I think it's almost kind of like Bird and Magic a little bit, where I think he enjoyed bickering with you because it made good radio and it was 2 guys doing their thing well back and forth, and it made him a part of it. But at the end of the day, if you went, did Dave make good radio today? I think he would say absolutely. And if you went, did Fez make good radio today? He would absolutely.
Yeah, I think you're right. It was emotionally draining though for me. I can tell you that. Like it was emotionally taxing. I didn't like this type of feud. I think there's a lot of things, you can find a lot of stuff with which I'm a straight up screw up. Yeah. And you can find a lot of things that we could go back and forth and this and that. Again, I think why it was emotionally taxing is no matter what happened post this, whether I'm divorced or not, at the time it was, my family, and it started to be like, this is too much. I have to go home to these people.
It's reality.
Yeah. And
the real feud's not good. You like wrestling.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't like wrestling, but I like the wrestling
Well, he was
formula
going home
of
to a
feuding.
cat.
Yeah.
I'm going home to at that time a wife, 2 kids, but also you're right. Like like my friends and family who listen to the show were like, oh, I don't like where this is going.
No.
It was tough. It was tough, but you know what? No complaints because again, it was interesting. But that's why we're doing this show. If you want the honest to God's truth, it was very emotionally taxing. Having said that, it was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, we're still talking about it.
And also, the fact of the matter is, I remember, it would always light up the phones. Okay. You would get no shortage of callers. Okay. Call after call after call after call. So again, you can kind of tell when something's hot when that's happening as well. And so, it was interesting.
But I think you nailed it, how emotionally tough it is because it's your reality that you're dealing with. Like a lot of these guys now that just are picking beefs back and forth, they don't really care. So it doesn't weigh on their mind when they go home and then people are like, why did you say this? Why didn't you say that? You know what I mean?
On the air, you're living in the moment, right?
Yeah.
If you're any good, you're not like thinking about repercussions or the effects or this or that. You're just out there and you're living in the moment. But again, yeah, the problem was that probably Fez got to go back to his apartment just to a cat in Roosevelt Island who's not going to give him any shit, whereas I had to go home to then wife at the time. And then, like I said, like some of the friends and stuff that and it's not so much in the ear. Like that's not like I make decisions for me. Always have, always will. I don't make decisions based on anyone being in my ear. But I will say I lived in the moment, and then it was like, oh man, this is causing a lot of shit when I get home.
Yeah, absolutely. When the opposite is so much fun.
When you're there, you leave at 7 a.m. to get to Sirius XM, and you get home at 9 p.m. You literally just like want to watch like a reality show, and then go to bed and do it all over again, not have to deal with this for an hour and a half.
You're getting yelled at, exactly.
Yeah.
But what's sad is the opposite's so much fun when you work a feud on it, right? I did a show with a guy who was a fan who became a podcaster. He's a regular now, and he's the fired up guy like you, but he's over the top. He's braggadocious. So I was like, hey man, to let you get into that character, I'm gonna take a page out of Davey Mack's book. I'm gonna be a heel. I'm gonna try to take the piss out of your sale every attempt. But after the show, we'd hang out. You know what I mean? We go hang out outside, and it's so much fun because, like, to this day, people are still be like, "Bobby was way too mean to Stan." Someone's like, "No, we're best friends. You don't get it, you idiots. We worked you." To deal with something that could be so fun and make it tough had to be an emotional burden, emotionally draining.
It was personal.
It's just hearing about it drained me emotionally. So we're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
I will bring it up, Fezzi. And this conversation came up because a lot of people were very curious when you offered Dave that incredible gift of taking care of his children at, is it still called daycare? What's it called?
I think it's still called daycare. I'm pretty sure.
That sounds kind of welfare.
Well, I think it's called daycare, whether it's just, a private sitter, you take the kids to their home, or if it's an actual, like, daycare school. I think it's all falls under daycare.
Well, there's a lot of people that have been confused of, has it been a real fight between you and Dave, and was that offer real? And people have the right to do that. But Tommy Z, are you inside or outside? What do you want to be? You want to be Mr. Inside, giving me free cigars and enjoying the good life? Or do you want to be Mr. Outside, trying to guess what's going on in the show? You can't do both.
No, you obviously can't do both, because I'm going to guess that Tommy Z's going to guess wrong whether he's inside or outside, no matter what. But you can't be invited in here.
So you offered, which now comes down to thousands of dollars a month, to Dave, who you've been fighting with for some time. You want him to clean his life up, straighten his life up.
Yeah, and I want to help do that, and I want to throw out that olive branch there for all the fighting that went on those 3 months.
And for the first time in a long time, I think you've turned the audience around about you. A lot of people were deeply moved by that.
Well, I mean, that's I appreciate that, and I appreciate people calling me a nice guy. But it was, I was trying to make a gesture. It was more between me and Dave than anything else.
Well, you could say that, but you did it on the air.
Oh yeah.
So it wasn't a gesture. It was an on-air thing whether or not you like it or not. Who's PFM? I never can understand that. Oh, Pat from Menaki has posted a beautiful picture of a beef on a whack. Thank you, Pat. I don't know Miss PFM, and congratulations for finishing second place in the cheesesteak eating contest. Smart move, taking a giant dump before. But people are curious about was that a legitimate offer?
That was an absolute legitimate offer.
And the reason why a lot of people didn't believe that, stunned silence from Dave. You had no reaction to it. And then eventually you said you would go home and talk to your parents and your wife about it.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, I want to move on and everything like that, but I'm not going to, take money, $2,000 or whatever, from Fez's pocket. It doesn't, seem right. But, I definitely want to move on. It just was, there's a lot of stuff going on in my life. It's not necessarily the easiest thing for my wife. I don't want to even go into it. She's got some things that she can't necessarily work, and I don't even think it's necessary to even bring it up. But there's just other issues that, are bigger than just the show, and, send the kids off and then everything will be happy.
Yeah, I can't even understand what you're saying.
It's because I have a very complicated, there's a lot of things going on in my life that not everyone needs to be privy to. The point is, sending kids off to daycare while my wife goes off and works isn't actually the best scenario for us.
Well,
at this point.
I think the reason why is that Fez was upset about you guys complaining about money all the time and said, here's a chance.
Right.
I mean, obviously you take it as a good thing, right, that he offered?
Yeah, I guess it's a fine thing. Yeah.
Why do you have to say I guess?
I think that
I'm not. I don't want to start it up again, but that seems a little weird that I'm getting a fine you guess.
It's a good gesture. I mean, I guess. I mean,
What are you guessing for? Why not have some balls?
Do you think it's a little condescending to now all of a sudden Fez is running my family, telling my wife to get a job? That was one thing that I thought about over the break and thought, does he have a right to tell my wife to go to work? No, that's not. No, he doesn't have that right. He doesn't have a right to lay out the ground rules of how the McDonald's are going to now fucking operate on an economic scale. I mean, I find that to be.
So you're actually
I was a little bit
offended.
Insulted, and I wanted to move on.
Wow.
The interesting thing is you weren't insulted the other day.
I wasn't.
Yeah.
I took it. No, I did a lot of reflection during the vacation. I thought.
In other words, other people talk to you.
No, believe it or not, my parents are in fucking Ireland, and we went out to Lake Winnipesaukee, and I swam by myself in the deep waters of beautiful Lake Winnipesaukee.
So you're not only do you say no, it's not something to do. You're actually a little offended about it.
I was a little bit, yeah. But like I said, like you said, red and blue states, Fez and Dave, it's time to move on, and
Yeah.
I don't want to do
I
the
understand.
same thing.
Well, I thought this was,
I said,
but
at
we
the
did have
time-
to find out whether or not you wanted to.
Yeah, I'm not going to be taking any money. But like I said, if the gesture was to apologize or whatever, then that's cool, and that's where we'll leave it. That's cool.
Well, we can leave it, but I don't think that Fez thought that he was wrong.
Right.
I think what he said is he wanted to help you get your life straightened out. Are you surprised that he takes that as an insult?
Yeah, I'm very surprised. I mean, like you said, you thought it out, and trust me, before I came up with the offer, I thought it out, and I thought, it helps more than just throwing money towards your bus ticket every month. It just, to me, that stuff kind of puts you in the same place where you are. It doesn't move you forward any. And I thought this was the biggest offer I could make to not.
Why are you offended?
I said that wrong.
It was all of a sudden now. Well, first of all, I feel then definitely beholden to Fez on a thing that he's going to be giving me money every month. Does feel a little dirty. And not that I don't appreciate it, like I said, but also B, then it's, to send the kids away so that Casey can get a job when She's just had a kid. My son is not well enough for daycare center. If we're gonna fucking go all the whole way, he had surgery a couple weeks ago. He's had relapses where he's cried. I've taken him to the hospital a couple times. It's not going to work to go to daycare. And I understand it, but she can't be away. And I don't feel that it's necessary for you to say who should be working or who shouldn't be working in my family. That's all. It's,
First of all, I just, it was an offer. It wasn't a demand.
I know. That's why I wasn't even bringing it up. I really wasn't.
I didn't say that you had to do it, that you had to accept it. I know that you worried about having to get a second job.
Yeah.
And that was another thing that I thought this took care of.
I know, but I can't, there's just too much. Yeah.
And you had brought up daycare before. On the show, you had brought up daycare before and how expensive it was, and if Casey did go to work, that the entire check would go to daycare. So it's not like I didn't just pull that out of thin air.
Right.
It's something you've talked about.
Yeah, but I don't remember that.
You've turned it down, and
and we're moving on.
But you're a little offended.
I was a little bit offended, yes, if we're going to be on, as I was doing reflection in the water.
See, I've never known anyone who decides later they were offended. They normally get offended.
Well, I honestly think about things, and sometimes I think quickly on things, and I react too quickly, and I actually reacted too quickly probably that day because I was so sick of the fighting. Even that day, though, if you listen, I was saying, look, if it's an apology, then I'll accept it. But, I mean, the actual money, I can't accept.
All right. Okay. Well, he put it out there.
Thank you.
866 Ron Zero Fez. 866 Ron Zero Fez. Anthony in New Jersey.
Yeah, hey, buddies. Hey, Ron, I got a couple points to make. I think what Fez did was a very nice gesture, and I think the timing was just a little off, and there should be no reason why Dave is offended by it. Fez is just trying to help out. What I think offends Dave is, I don't know if he ever got full promotion after Earl left, and he's been taken on the chin, and I think that's what a lot of the fighting is from, is that Dave never got promoted. And I don't know.
Fez doesn't have any power over that. A lot of this stuff came up because the Dave fans out there acted like Fez owed Dave something for stepping up. I believe that in the gesture that was Fez saying, yeah, I can see that I should be helping out. Dave, when's the last time you went down and asked for a raise?
When we got here 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago.
Your ability to know fucking time doesn't exist. How do you figure we got here 4 or 5 weeks ago?
Like it's months ago then.
It's just insane. You know what you ought to do? Take a swim in a lake.
Early April.
All right.
Not yet.
So then that was a few months. That was more than a few months ago.
Yeah. So you understand the economics of this company isn't, giving people raises right now.
I do.
Fez feels like he makes a good living. I wanted to share the wealth a little bit.
Right.
Go ahead, say.
In a non-direct, now I'm the person who pulls the strings of the McDonald family way. A, I'm beholden to this man who now all of a sudden, it's like he's my sugar daddy, for starters. And B, it's like, hey, I know our son's dealing with pain, but now you have to go out and work because Fez is doing this. It actually kind of ruffled, or it set up more craziness than it probably would help.
The craziness in your own head while you were swimming in the lake?
This is the scenarios I played out in my head.
Okay.
I mean,
like
I'm
weeks
trying
ago.
I'm trying hard not to get offended, but I'm sorry the offer of probably $2,000 a month made craziness happen.
Here's Pat in Florida.
Hey there, Ronnie B. I got to side with Fezzi on this. If I'm not mistaken, when Fezzi was doing this, he never was saying that, okay, well, here's a babysitter for your kids in case he has to get a job. It was one of those things, if she wanted to get a job, she could.
No, that was what Fez said. He said to make Casey, and now Casey should can go out and work and get another second income. He said that several times, actually.
Well,
several times.
I don't remember that happening.
Yeah, that was stated several times. Now Casey can go out and work, and this is after he had attacked her for 3 or 4 weeks. That was kind of, what are you doing here? It's 3 or 4 weeks of an attack, and then all of a sudden, Casey, go out and work now. And I'm the hero. I mean, I don't know. It was weird. It was
So you
weird.
didn't hear any...
Were you offended that a lot of people thought that was generous? Even friends of yours thought it was a wonderful thing?
People are entitled to think what they want. They probably all think that I'm fucking nuts. I'm saying from my perspective.
Here's Walker in Kentucky.
Ronnie, I think Dave is just being a little insecure because he wants to provide for his family, and it's not beholden to Fez because it's a gift. If Fez was loaning it to him, yeah, it'd be beholden.
Yeah, it's not a loan. Just so everyone's clear on that, I didn't expect you to, pay me back that money with interest or anything. That was never part of it. Maybe I should have made that clear.
All right. Well, I think we're at a point that we could sit around and talk about all the details. But you made an offer, and Dave has denied. Apparently, you guys, and I'm not going to play it out on the air,
Right.
but apparently you guys have bigger problems than even Fez knows, because you're angry about this, Dave. You're angry about it.
That would be an accurate assessment of my mental state, yeah. And maybe I've gone totally fucking insane. It's possible. I am not above saying I'm not crazy. I'm just saying that the way I was trying to not...
Well, apparently you got a better plan.
During vacation, I started just go crazy, and I was trying to shut these voices out of my head.
Female voices?
No, male voices.
I'm only kidding you.
Please.
I'm only kidding you.
Male David McDonald voices.
I understand. All right, then we're going to move on. And we got a problem, but I told you guys last fucking Friday, just like with the red states and blue states, I'm going to keep it off the air. I can't put up with you still anymore.
That's good.
Fez came up with what he felt was a branch, an olive branch. He did it on his own without telling me. You took a week to decide your answer. You did it without telling me. So, I have to agree that this is where you guys are.
That's right. I wasn't going to bother anybody with the thoughts in my head.
All right. All right, 866 Run Zero Fez. 866 Run Zero Fez. We got to take a break here.
And we are back. We cried in each other's arms. We listened to some Boys to Men, 98 Degrees, and now we're here.
Good stuff right there. I love Boys to Men. Motown Philly back again. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Give a little East Coast swang. Boys to Men is going on. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Not too weak and not too strong. Oh, that's a good song.
That was a little before my time. I was more, 'cause I want it all.
Yeah, no, I mean, well,
that
yeah,
was
but you,
O-Town, my bad.
What's their main song though? The sad ballad song. Oh, it's so hard to say goodbye to
yesterday. I know that one.
I mean, I should be the fifth member of Boys to Men.
Dude,
that was an audition right there.
There's an episode of Psych where Sean Spencer, the white guy, wants to join his black friends duet and call it Quarter Black. And because then it'll be 3 black guys and him. And it's literally, the plot is they have to sing that to solve the case.
Ah!
Dude, you just wrote an episode of Psych because you're that good. But
hysterical.
As hysterical as it was when we find out after this weekend, Ron asks you, what did you do? You went to some show. They sang an Annie song. I don't know who it was. You didn't want to go, but you went to this concert with Casey. And Ron,
you don't know the name of the band?
I don't know. It didn't say the band in the audio. Probably, yeah.
Backstage? Smokey. I'm sorry, Stinky.
Yep, this is it then. Let's not, we're going to get to Stinky in just a minute.
Love Stinky. Okay.
So you say you went to this show. What was the band?
Yeah, I didn't want to go. It was Ben Folds 5, and Stinky the bus driver got us to any sort of show, but the wife, the then wife, liked Ben Folds 5 quite a bit. So I was like, all right. And we actually got to go on his bus. with him out off the bus. When he goes to the green room, Stinky goes, yeah, he was like a guy from the South. I mean, he was straight out of Almost Famous. Long hair, mustache, Southern accent, but he's a big Ron Fez fan because all he did was drive the bus and listen to Sirius XM. And he's like, Davey Mack, come on backstage. We got everything. He's like, you can have a sample some of Ben's liquor. We got maybe a little bit of weed or so lying around over here. And honestly, so as soon as Ben folds and the other people leave, he's like, come on, we got the bus all to ourselves.
Oh my gosh.
It was awesome. And he did that from multiple shows, by the way. Stinky, love you.
That was hit band Ben Folds 5.
Yeah, Ben Folds 5. I mean, Ben Folds is a like piano playing type of ballad. Not my music. I didn't like him, but the X liked them. So
okay,
all right.
So it was like when I got drugged to Neutral Milk Hotel.
Yeah,
you're there for them and wish you were anywhere else.
Dragged to Neutral Milk Hotel.
Yeah, I wish I was drugged at Neutral Milk Hotel and I could get that memory out of my mind, but I had to watch some dude play a piano string on a fucking saw and when Jay-Z's rapping right now.
No one said that Jeff Mangum, or is it Mangum? I always forget.
He's a Magnum douche.
Live that they were as good as the albums. You got to just simply listen to Aeroplane Over the Sea, the record, and not worry about any live performances. Because I've actually, you're not the first person to tell me that. I've actually heard from like one of my friends who really loved the band was like, he was terrible. And I'm like, the albums are so good, but they're also very well produced. And it's like kind of like he never figured out how to replicate the sound live. So
maybe we could put him, Jeff Magnum, Ben Folds 5, and I need one other one on an airplane and it can go down like the Big Bopper. And we could go, this is the day the music was resurrected.
Oh, that's terrible. I disagree with that statement entirely. Thank you.
Well, as you pointed out, you and Casey went to Ben Folds 5 and goes, oh, who babysat? Beanie? And you go, nope, they were out of town. And they go, well, who babysat? And you go, it was a feminine man. And you start to write it down. They go, why are you writing things down? And you go, it was Sheepy. At which point, Fez and Hicks lose their mind. Like, why would you let Sheepy? Fez questions Stan's health and goes, how would Sheepy handle it if there was a problem? He just panic, also start throwing up.
I mean, no, I expected responsible person. He was in his 20s, like late 20s.
I'm not attacking Sheepy. I find it comical.
Wait,
how?
So now I'm not allowed to ever go outside. I fucking work 14 hours a day, Monday through Friday, and then I work on Saturdays. And I'm not allowed to have like one goddamn day. Do you understand why I was taking this a little personal?
I don't hate the idea.
And by the way, having someone babysit one day is much different than strangers watching your kid 20 or 25 days out of the month. Don't you think? Thanks.
The parallel to the two hasn't even been drawn yet. They just do not like the idea that Sheepy was the one in charge of your kids while you and Casey were there. Now, you paint the story as you're on the way home and you're like, oh, who'd you have watch the kids? My parents? And she was like, no, they're out of town. And you're like, oh, my aunt? You were like, no, she was busy. Who's watching my kid? Oh, it's Sheepy. Well, hopefully everything's okay. And you point out your aunt lived right down the road. So if something truly went wrong, Sheepy could have got him to them. But as Ron uses one of my favorite quotes here where he goes, you know what they call Sheepy, don't you, Dave? They call him creepy. Which is just such a funny line.
It's just, it's a babysitter. I mean, yeah. I don't know what the issue is here.
Well, you quickly shot down any of the bad things that could have occurred because you're like, you don't think it's that or that, do you? And you put it out and they're like, no, it's just weird that he's the one around your kids.
He volunteered. And by the way, this was more than likely, I can't say 100% fact, but honestly, I could say like 99%. I had nothing to do with this. This was the ex-wife trying to find a babysitter, and that's who she found. More than likely. Saying I had nothing to do with it. I'm telling you.
That's how you shared it on air, and it's funny that you painted it the exact same way here without context.
Look, obviously, I'm going to throw myself under the bus as much as possible. Again, after 14-hour days, I just want to go home, watch Big Brother, and go to sleep.
Top 10
Okay,
full time.
that's it. But what I'm saying is, yeah, in reality, I mean, this is why we do the show. I had nothing to do with it.
No, and that's what you literally say this on air too, but it all worked out. Everything's okay. And this is where Fez starts to turn, where he points out he was willing to pay for a trained professional to come to your house every day to watch your kids. But Sheepy, a stranger from
come
the
to
internet,
my
is
house
cool.
was not ever going to be that. It was daycare. It was drop the kids off somewhere.
And he says that he offered at points to send someone to your house, but I don't think Fez, again, this isn't him. This may have been him trolling you, but it may have also been him not realizing how much it literally would
Yeah,
cost.
I mean
that's
that's like an au pair.
Yeah, that's like $80,000
Yeah, no.
a month.
Listen,
or something
daycare
nuts.
is daycare. I mean,
Yeah.
we all know we like again. We can't change the definitions of words. Daycare is a place to drop the kids off.
And if for the price you would pay for daycare, the person who you could get to come to your house every day is like the 16-year-old girl on summer vacation. It's not, a trained professional who understands the intricacies of your situation.
Yeah.
So you counter right away to Fez and go, "Hey, Fez, this is about me going to a concert. Why do you have to make everything about you?" Which is kind of his trigger. You could tell that kind of set him off a little bit.
I mean, that's me trolling back. That's
oh,
me.
absolutely. That's counterpunching.
That's
though.
me healing out right there.
That's you. The energy you had when I brought this up is the same energy you were in that situation where you're just anybody who says your name you're swinging at because it's you against the world at this point. It feels like I get it. We've all been there, man. But so you hit him with the counterpunch right away. You explain the situation. You go, Fez, like, I have one daughter who's healthy, who potentially we could send to daycare, but then somebody would have to watch Stan. So it would just be getting one person off your hands. It wouldn't be helping us at all. If we send Stan to a specialized place, we have nobody to watch the dog. Like, it's a lose-lose situation. And then you go, I don't know if you've seen these, stories, these horror stories about daycares. My rich brother sends his kid to one of the nicest daycare, and I think you said his like $100,000 daycare or something, and his kid sat and shit for 6 hours, like, and that's one of the best. I can't handle this.
I mean, I hate to say it, they're it's kind of like you do to this day get a lot of stories from daycare places about how they sometimes don't treat the kids very well, and it just was too complicated. I just wanted to raise.
Yeah, and I get that completely. At this point, though, Ron spins you because you make that point, and he goes, He tried to kill Stan, Dave." And you agree with him. You say that, and Fez is saying, I was trying to do this generous thing, and you go, no, you're focusing on my off-air life because you don't have one, which is a very mean way of saying what you've been saying the whole time, though, and I've been saying as a Fez defender on this one for sure, going, he doesn't have the context. Like, he knows what's going on in your life. It's almost like a reality show for him, so he wants to be involved and live through that because he doesn't have the stuff for him, but he doesn't understand the context of what that, not meddling, but helping or interfering. It's like Heisenberg uncertainty principle. Like, you look at
what the hell is that?
If you look at an electron, it changes it. So, like, by doing the thing you do to observe it, it changes the position it would be in. It affects it. And, like, you don't realize that you're affecting it without realizing that. Schrodinger's cat. It's live or dead until we open it.
Okay.
But that's what you had in your life. Fez doesn't realize what the ramifications of what he views as this one instance of helping would be. Or maybe he does.
I just couldn't get, look, I guess it's one of those situations where it's like someone could easily say, but Davey Mack, you shared, like, that's what you do, right? Like, you share your life on the air. You put it out there. And all of that is true. It's like I put it out there, 100%. But, there are a couple things that I don't put out because it's personal. Sometimes it's really not even just personal to me. It's personal to family members. Like, if it's to me, I probably am putting it out there. But when it involves family members, things do change. And even though I'm a very generous on-air person who likes to share everything, if it's other people, I was trying to say, like, you know, like this doesn't feel good anymore. It's like a rivalry, but it just doesn't feel good because you're talking about like my family. I'm really uncomfortable with this.
And it's someone you care about, too. You might have been beefing with Fez for 3 months or 6 months or whatever, but at the end of the day, this is still one of your favorite people.
Oh, I love Fez.
Yeah. Like, there are other people who, if they did anything even remotely, wouldn't have been given this leeway whatsoever. Yeah.
Like we do with everything. We're talking about this as a moment in time. And this moment in time for me was very difficult, very challenging. No, 100%. But it doesn't mean, you know, it doesn't destroy any kind of overall picture, overall love. It's just, this was a challenging time. This is a challenging moment.
Oh, absolutely. But my point is,
you know, everyone from you, if you watch the anthology, right? It's like at one point, Ringo goes to the Beatles anthology. Ringo knocks, you know, he goes to John's house. He rings the doorbell. And he goes, John. He goes,
you ever read Catcher in the Rye?
Please, Robert. He goes, John, I'm leaving the band because I feel like you three are getting along and I feel like I'm on the outs. And John goes, I thought it was you three. He then goes to Paul's house, says the same thing, and Paul goes, I thought it was you three. So that's when Ringo realizes, okay, we love each other, but we're just in a messed up zone right now. You know, that we just got to push through. But that's what it was. So it was very similar to the me and Fez situation here.
Gentlemen, I'm going to get us a hotel room like the good old days, all at once now, all together now.
All together now, all together now. I'm telling you, that's all it was.
And I do like that we're able to do this with the context that you and Fez made up at the end, before the end. So, like, it'd be one thing if you were just saying this, assuming, but you know that the love was still there because you made that reconciliation.
Yeah, I mean,
beautiful.
I mentioned it many, many times, but
yeah, we don't have to do it
because of my dad's passing. Things were rekindled. Texts were delivered back and forth, and then that sparked wrestling texts and things like that towards the end of Fez's life.
Sorry, I was just checking where we were at in the notes. I wasn't trying to ignore your beautiful, sweet moment. It is kind of like your dad gave you one last gift on the way out.
That's
a beautiful way of thinking about it. Like, hey, here, Dave, here's one last blessing.
That's nice. I mean, I wish Daddy would have given me $2,000 a month, but you know,
that would have been nice too. Yeah, you and me both, brother. Speaking of which, please join the Patreon below. We could.
And spread the word. Spread the word about the show.
Yeah, it's fun. If you guys have ideas, feel free to tell us. We'd love to hear them. We find the good ones here. We're going to take a brief break, but we'll be right back after.
So did Beanie keep the kids over the night? Or
yes, she did. She kept them. No, excuse me. We had a babysitter on that night, but the kids were very fast asleep. And so
was this your first time using like a babysitter?
Yes. Never did it before. I wasn't the biggest fan of it either.
Yeah, that's a weird scene. I've never had a non-relative babysitter for my kids because it's just too weird.
Yeah.
So, girl in the neighborhood, you didn't have to drop her off late at night and do that weirdness.
A big feminine guy.
Big feminine guy?
What are you nodding at me for?
You know who he is.
I have no idea.
Oh,
why are you writing it down?
Sheepy baby.
Sheepy!
That's what I said. He told me that on fucking Friday afternoon.
You are kidding!
It's the only babysitter we could get. We didn't have any options. It was Friday. Everyone was out doing their thing, going to parties, drinking.
Wait, let me just go to Hicks. You were weirded out by this?
Yeah, why is she be taking care of your children? I didn't think that was the best fucking choice.
Yeah, I don't know. It was odd, but you know.
You've got a toddler watching your toddlers.
Well, it was a bit strange. I'm not going to lie. Wouldn't have been my first choice, or second, or 10th.
How did you guys get talked into that?
I didn't get talked into it. I actually, when my wife picked me up in Jersey, I'm like, so my mom has the kids? She said, no, your parents are out of town. You know that. And I go, oh, yeah, what the fuck? So then where are the kids? And like, I could get Sheepy. It was the only one I could get. I go, oh, no, los míos. But
you have a baby who has emergency situations.
Yeah.
You ever seen Sheepy around an emergency situation?
I'm sure he sits on the ground and pouts.
Well, look, it all worked out. That's a good thing.
Luckily, wasn't Stan just in the hospital last week? You got upset because I didn't ask you about it?
2 weeks, yeah. Yep.
Just last week?
Last week he was, yeah.
And you put Sheepy in that situation?
Well, I didn't think he was going to, like, burn my children or anything.
No, but what if the baby started choking?
Yeah.
Then he would have called us, and we had... My aunt was, lives a mile down the road.
You should have left him with the aunt.
Well, she was doing her own thing, but if any kind of emergency situation happened, my aunt would have been there in 7 seconds. But it was a Friday, it was my aunt, so, what do you want me to do?
Was he doing his Sheepy drinking party?
I wasn't there.
Did Stan have to help Sheepy through one of his panic attacks? Where he thought he wasn't real or whatever the fuck happens to him?
I don't know the situation with everybody. I was just happy that someone was there. And
someone. You would have been just as well leaving him with a dog.
The kids,
Wait, Sheepy changed your kids?
He must have. Yes.
Oh, my God.
He must have.
Oh, Dave.
What do you mean?
I'm not comfortable.
You don't think any pedophilia occurred, right?
Dave.
You don't think that any molestation happened, right? I mean, that's not what you're saying.
It's creepy. They call him creepy.
All right. Now you're,
The fact that he would want to do it is creepy enough. Trust me, I know panic. I would not want to take care of Stan. I would be a nervous wreck worrying about Stan.
Mm-hmm.
And Sheepy has the same things.
Well, nothing happened.
That's a good point. That is true. Nothing happened.
That's just lucky. That's just luck.
Well, good. We'll take the luck.
Luck of the draw.
Take the luck.
Roll them dice.
Now, Dave.
Roll them.
Dave.
Fezzy.
I offered you $2,000 in daycare.
Oh, my God.
For someone to take care of Stan, and the excuse was Stan can't have someone watch him, can't have a stranger watch him because he's sick. But instead of like a licensed daycare or money going towards a nanny, someone who works with kids, you pick Sheepy? I'm just a little stunned.
I'm sorry, I forgot. This is all about you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I forgot that the show was about me for 5 seconds, and now let's turn it back on you. The fact of the matter is, if Stan went to your daycare center every day, one of those days he would have been fucking dead. Every fucking day? Yeah, no, we're going to watch Sheepy for one night because we knew that Stan was in good shape. We can understand Stan's fucking signs. But
I just said someone who knows kids goes to your house, too. Either one.
What are you talking about? Someone comes to our house.
You tried to kill Stan.
You did. He tried to kill my son.
I never tried to kill Stan.
Your fucking bullshit self-serving gesture was all about you and not about my fucking family. My wife couldn't get a job.
Self-serving? How is giving you money getting self-serving?
You could have said it off the air, but you didn't. You had to boast in front of everyone. I'll tell you what's going to happen is Dave's going to fucking take 2 G's and put his kids in daycare. It's fucking ridiculous.
I offered it to you. I didn't demand it.
You gave 2 G's to Earl, but instead it's your wife's got to get a job.
On the air.
Your wife's got to get a job.
My kids got
I did it on the air.
Of course you did it on the air, because you don't know how to fucking have a real life off the air.
Oh!
What the fuck does that... Now who's making it about me?
Off the air, you're just, you're fucking shaky and nervous and fucking elevator, and I'm crying because a goddamn comedian on O&A fucking talked about Zoloft. What fucking sense does that make?
Fuck you. You don't know what goes on in my head.
Dude. Whatever.
Dude, you worry.
I'm
yesterday.
fucking pouring my heart out to Ron, talking to him about my goddamn financial situation. I will say this, and I'll say it till day I got. Thank fucking Jesus Christ there's a Ron Bennington on this planet Earth. Because otherwise, this show, everything. And I thank Ron B for my fucking career, too.
Yeah, last week I get yelled at for not being concerned. Today I bring up a concern and I get yelled at for that too.
Dude, come on, man. How the fuck is this about you and offering my kid daycare fucking thing? You know that I've so calmly fucking explained to you how this wouldn't work. My wife would still have to watch the daughter. So how does that make sense? And then if my wife, God bless her, didn't graduate from college. So how the fuck would you spending $2,000 on putting our kids in daycare, one of which is sick, that would have ended up dying in daycare? My fucking rich-ass brother who makes 6 figures put his kid to daycare in the best daycare center in fucking Pennsylvania. The kid sat in shit for 7 hours because they don't watch in daycare. It's a major fucking problem.
I wouldn't go to that one then. I haven't seen these stories of people dying in daycare.
Well, I don't know what to tell you. I'm not making them up.
I was just saying, we were talking about Sheepy. And I'm like, all right, I offer...
Yeah, of course. It's about you. It's about, the guy watched my kids for an hour and a half, 2 hours on fucking Friday because we knew that
you were only
Stan was
gone
in
2
good shape.
hours.
My wife was. She's gone 3 hours. We went to a show we live in New Jersey. We went to a show in New Jersey. After the show, we came back.
I want you to look at Hicks in his desperate eyes the way he's looking at you right now.
What? What do you want? I mean, what am I supposed to say?
Look at Hicks's eyes. What are you trying to tell him, Hicks?
Just calm down, think things out, and
calm down, think things out. I'm fucking calm. Look at me, I'm calm. What do you want me to do? Take my shirt off? Be calm. I'm calm. I'll take my shirt off right now. I'll spray myself with Lysol. I'm fucking calm.
I think he was looking at you in the way of he doesn't want you to say some things that you can't take back.
I'm not going to say those things. I was going to excuse myself from the fucking room because, because I just poured my heart out to Ron, how much he helps me, and then it's Fez trying to... In fact, I feel like Fez is trying to usurp Ron by saying, well, Ron helped Dave out with his career, but look, I did the $2,000. It wasn't about you, but you know that was something I turned down because it wasn't practical. It's never made sense since the day you did it. It's why I didn't fucking agree to it. But even then, I'd turn it down politely. I said, you know what, this whole thing is squashed because I don't want a grudge because Davey Mack don't like grudges.
I didn't hold a grudge about it. You apparently...
Why would you? You weren't the one who was offended. I was.
You apparently are holding on to this thing.
Because you brought it up! I forgot about it!
But you're the one who went nuts and started screaming at me about it.
But it did work out. You gotta give him
because you know why? Because he was someone who's trying to help me. That's why. He wanted to help me and my wife, who are fucking battling like the Confederacy and the Union because we don't see each other. I mean, it's he's trying to hurt me, I suppose, and you've done a fantastic job.
You're the one who just started screaming at me. I asked the question.
Dude, I don't know where to start, Fez. First of all, it's my fucking private life. I mean, why should you care who watches our kids? If I fucking had a member of Al-Qaeda watch my kids, but nothing happened... The fucking guy who looked like Ron Jeremy. Oh, the fat guy. I don't know if he's dead or alive.
He sleeps too late, and he wears a dirty T-shirt.
Well, whatever. I mean, he's the kind of terrorist I would trust. My point is that why are you having a say in what kind of babysitter we have?
I obviously don't.
Well, you just try to impart your shit.
We're just going around and around the same spot. Sometimes it seems like you guys don't like each other so much.
Ron, I come into every day loving everybody. I'm a fucking high and Johnny.
Right.
I don't come in with any animosity towards people. I don't like the Red Sox.
Back. We took a quick break. My computer was freezing. Unlike Dave, who leaned all in from this point out. Now, before we get into the rest of you, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but an emotional meltdown.
I have an emotional meltdown.
Yeah, we'll give a little bit more about that in a minute. Before we do, you said Stinky was a bus driver?
Stinky, great Southern man from, the South. Don't know exactly what state, but yeah, bus driver. Literally, like I said, just some kind of almost famous throwback character. I didn't know how he existed in 2010.
Now, when I was listening to this show, I wasn't listening in the context of the era, so I assumed when I heard Stinky, it was Garrett and Dreets from the O&A show. You earned that nickname because of his weed, right?
Garrett, yeah. Oh, yeah. And you know what? There's a great chance this Stinky did as well.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I was confused.
Literally what we did. Every time that he invited me to a show, he'd wait till the band left and then invite me on the
tour bus to smoke
on the tour bus for a little fun, for a little recreational activity.
A little drink and drink.
Yeah, it's great. And then sometimes I'd go through the person's drawer. Oh, this is Ben Folds' clothes drawer right here. Oh, look at this. Look at this shirt he's got.
This is Ben Folds' $2,000. Boy, that would have solved everything, wouldn't it?
Yeah, if you're a some kind of band from the late 2000s, especially if you had kind of I don't want to say emo, but whatever, and a sort of a ballad type of way, there's a good chance I was on your tour bus going through your stuff. I just want you to know that.
Some people would find that an honor, Dave. They think it was worth more. Some. Big A and Bopo mainly, but some. That said, so I thought it was Stinky because it does make sense now that they were like, oh, so he gets all boned up and then drives away. I thought it was Garrett, but I knew Garrett didn't have a license, so that's dumb. I will say Garrett and Steve are doing their new show now. It's on YouTube and Patreon. They kind of got screwed as bad as we did at Compound. Steve's a great guy. We did a show together for a while.
Love Steve.
So if
Love
you
Garrett and Steve.
Get the opportunity, give them a like.
That's awesome. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, support those guys. They're good guys.
Now back to Dave's emotional breakdown.
Hello.
But
I mean, that you might as well just say my life. My life is one gigantic emotional breakdown, Robert, in case you haven't realized that by now.
But what I will say about your life, and at this point, we've been together how long? 5 years?
A long time, Robert.
Boy, they say 7 and you're locked in for life, so you got 2 to get out, my man. But there are highs and lows. There are peaks and pinnacles. Or peaks and valleys, I guess would have been a better way to say. If it was peaks and pinnacles, there would be a lot of highs. But it's highs and lows.
That would just be one high moment after another.
But the level of energy you bring to not only the shows you're doing and the friends, like the energy you put out there to friends, regardless of if you personally are at a peak or a pinnacle, remains consistent. You can see. Like it may be a different type of energy you're bringing to the show, but it's still there. It's never affected your work in a negative way. It's caused you to change.
I've never phoned in any on-air appearance in my life. I try to bring 100%. Doesn't always mean it's good, but the one thing that I can sleep very, very well at night on is saying that every single second I've ever been on the air for any radio show, podcast, video, anything, I literally will give you the proverbial 110% every single time. That I am proud of, because a lot of people can't bring the energy every single day. But that's what I'm dedicated to doing. Again, doesn't mean it's just like an athlete who's going to hustle all the time. Doesn't mean every single day you're going 4 for 4. You're going 0 for 4 some days, but you're still hustling every single day on the baseball field. That's the way I approach broadcasting. For reals.
Absolutely. And sometimes when you as an individual, and I'm not just saying you specifically, but like a human, gets so worn down and they're still bringing that level of energy, you just lean into whatever's going on. So you kind of lean into this fired up moment against Fez. He takes some shots. You take some shots back and forth. You ultimately realize you may have gone too far when Ron goes, "Hey, Hicks, look at Hicks's eyes, Dave." And you're like, "What?" And he's like, "Look into Hicks's eyes." And you're like, "Yeah, I know. I'm just saying." And you're like, No. Ron cuts you off and goes, No. Hicks, tell Dave what your eyes are saying. And this is truly a moment of beautiful friendship.
Tell Dave what your eyes are saying. You're saying it's a beautiful moment of friendship, which I'm going to trust you, but that does strike me as funny. Tell Dave what your eyes are saying.
Or tell Dave what you're trying to say with your eyes may have been a less confused way to say it. I think that may have been how Ron said it.
I thought you were quoting Ron. So Ron didn't say that. You did.
I was paraphrasing.
Okay, fine.
Poorly. You could say funny. I was poorly paraphrasing, but I was paraphrasing.
So his eyes, what? They look upset?
Like he's trying to calm you down. He goes, Dave, just breathe. Just take a breath, dude. don't do anything too crazy. Like, just breathe, think this through, relax. And you keep going. He's like, Dave, just breathe. And you could tell in this moment, the Ron and Feds behind the scenes / production crew is not the most easy job in the world. I would say it's probably the best job in the world. But as far as like emotionally stressful, always stepping up, things like that, it seems like if you think of all the people there, with maybe the exception of you, Hicks, and Al Dukes, it all kind of caused everybody else to go crazy or have a significant mental breakdown.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? That
But
could just be radio in general.
That's it also seems to have formed.
What I'll say is it was a very small staff. So because of that, you obviously have there are benefits to that. And the benefits are you got 2 producers or whatever. You're going to get a lot of airtime. You're going to have a lot of opinion. You're going to be able to do a lot of stuff if you come up with a bit or a character, which I was interested in doing. Then you're going to be on the air a lot. We haven't said this. I haven't brought this up in a long, long time, so I'll bring it up now. Before I even tried out for the Ron and Fez job, I got an offer from the Howard Stern channel because I knew Rory, who worked for Rory. You just mentioned former Ron and Fez producers.
Hamptons.
I'm talking former Ron and Fez
Rory
producer
Hamptons,
Rory. Yeah, and Rory worked there, and we always got along. And he knew we always got along. We hung out at the bars, always liked him. So he basically brings me in. He's like, awesome. He's like, well, everything really looks good, Davey Mack. I'll be calling you soon. And I got the offer, but the exact same time, weirdly enough, I learned that Harry Elvis was leaving.
Oh,
and so I got I decided, you know what? I'm going to gamble. I know I have this Howard Stern job. I'm going to gamble because of that. Because if I'm a Howard Stern person, now I'm one of 25 producers. I mean, maybe more. And so I was like, I'll get lost in the shuffle easily. But if I go over here, Ron Fez, bring all my creativity over there and be more valuable, I think. Plus, I loved Ron and Fez, like even more than Howard. Like that wasn't even kind of close. No. I like Howard. I'm not at all complaining. Okay, I like them all. Like I'm not someone who does it. I like the Howards. I like the Imuses. See, I fell in love with radio because of the Fan and sports talk and Mike and the Mad Dog and Steve Summers. But then from there, you expand into other radio that you're into. But and so I liked it all. But at the end of the day, Ron Fez was number one. They're my Ichiban. And small staff of 2 people, to me, it was a no-brainer. Even though it was a gamble, I said, I got to throw my hat in the ring and see if I can get this job. And thankfully, I did. So there it is.
And you do express thankfulness after the breakdown. But in addition to the tenseness caused by that, it does form some of the strongest bonds where it's like, you and I have figured out a system. We can get through this together. Come on, man. Let's be a team.
Yeah.
Some of the friendships, even to this day, at least once an episode, given the opportunity, you shit on Earl. But when we were all at the FezCon, like it was truly like Magic and Bird hugging. Like 2 guys who were like, hey, man, we did some great shit together.
You already used Magic and Bird as a rivalry.
Right, but this is retired Magic and Bird now.
Oh,
like
you got to stay retired.
I'm so sorry. Thank you for correcting me. That's why you're the master at radio and
Birds thing. Go with, Ali Frazier at some point. Other goddamn Yankees, Red Sox, Ohio State, Michigan. We got other damn sports rivalries, bro.
Okay, but my dad kind of raised us on bird lore. Like I remember my brother missed a ground ball and then struck out not looking because he was like the game was already over because I missed that ground ball. And my dad made him watch the play where Bird missed the 3 and then stole the inbounds pass and passed it to the guy to win the game 32 times as a punishment. That was punishment in the Tamboro household to learn never give up. The game's never over.
That was Larry Bird made the steal off of Isaiah Thomas, who had the ball out of bounds when the Celtics and Pistons were in the Eastern Conference Finals. Very famous play. Bird stole it, passes it to DJ. And Dennis Johnson in for the layup. Boom. Celtics stole a game and won the series. I know exactly the play you're talking about. But you know, I mean,
So
if he's
that's
talking
why I
about
use those
baseball,
references.
I'm just saying, if this was a baseball issue, why not use a goddamn baseball player like a Pete Rose or even a Jeter? Well, Jeter might not have been around then.
I can't comment. I know our big raising was Larry Bird lore, the movie Hoosiers, the movie Miracle, and the movie Rudy. So and Rocky. How can I forget the Rocky series? Of course,
Those are
skipping
all
five.
good movies.
But that was kind of like how we. Anyway, back to the point, which was just seeing you and Earl interact. It was like two guys who had done something great together. Maybe you went on your own paths afterwards. It's almost kind of like if Han, Princess Leia, and Luke had met up years afterwards and were like, "Hey, I know you're banging my sister, and we don't really talk anymore, but we did some great shit back in the day."
Terrible analogy. Okay, leave the goddamn Star Wars to me because you had no idea what you're talking about. Now you could have chosen a goddamn real rival for Han in Lando, who also then Han Lando probably would have fit me and Earl a little bit better for obvious reasons. And they had a friendship, but a rivalry. But at the same time, anytime they get back together, they realize, you know what, we're all good.
You know what? I can't think of a better metaphor than that. You guys are all good. But anyway, Hicks is stepping up, trying. You could tell he loves you in this moment. Like it is
And
him
I
being
love
like,
him. And I love him.
I know you do. And you guys still are friends, which is beautiful.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
in the
he
moment,
doesn't text me anymore. It's one street Johnny over here. You know?
occasionally, and when he does, it's like Christmas. I grew up in Memphis. My whole family's in Ohio. So we'd see him at Christmas and Easter. And when we did, boy, was it even more special. Like you really valued your time with your cousins as opposed to people who lived in the same neighborhood and could see him at school every day. So I get it. Sometimes
I
it's
did
more
text him
special.
a few weeks ago. He got back to me though. If I text him, he now does get back to me, which is a good thing because I went crazy on the Eastside Dave show about why doesn't he get back to me? Because it is the whole thing, and it's not just him. Like I said, but everyone who makes the comment of, "Oh, I'm sorry, I've been busy." So you don't take 30 seconds to text someone back after a month. Don't give me the I've been busy. Everyone has enough time in the day to text someone back. You're not working on a nuclear submarine, okay? Text me back, you SOB.
And that's something you hold across the board, though. I was editing.
For everyone.
I was doing some editing with headphones on yesterday for about 3 hours, and I got really into it. And you had texted me an hour and a half into my editing, and I was like, oh, God, he's going to think I'm ignoring him. I felt so bad because I know you like to be responded to. So it's not just the Hicks thing. It's across the board. People who interact with Dave like that.
I need to be responded to in 30 seconds. I'm talking you can take by the end of the day.
And yesterday it was like I'd started working at 3, so it was wrapping up the day. I was like, if he thinks I'm just blowing him off,
if you text someone at 11 a.m., they can't text you back by 9 p.m. that day. You're that busy. No, unless you're engaged in warfare in like a foreign country and you can't be on your phone because you're like a sniper or something. Like unless you're doing a real job. You're a brain surgeon who's in surgery for 12 hours. I don't know. I'm just saying. We all have enough time.
Yeah. But this is about how much Hicks loved you. And
okay,
you can
good.
hear
I love him.
and you can hear in his voice the number of producers, whether it was a work or a shoot, that spun themselves into quitting the Ron and Fez show. He does not want this to happen. Like he's like, I'm not allowing you to do this today, Dave. And at several points, Ron points out Dave's thrown his headphones 8 times. And God, is there anything more better when you're frustrated than a good headphones there? Because they're not expensive. You're not breaking a mic. You know what I mean? At most, you owe $100. And boy,
a lot of just throwing them off. No.
Oh,
I take them. You know how you would take your headphones off? Okay, so imagine just doing that hard, but then releasing them up in the air. Yes. So then they go flying upwards. Like I was just like boom, and they it's more of that situation. You're taking them off and you're just letting the hands go when they're right about up here.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, that happened way too many times.
Apparently, at least 8 during this whole thing.
But I mean, over the course of, like, I wasn't the only one. Like, I think everybody had at least one or two times where they did the headphone thing.
Oh, absolutely. And it's just fun. It gets, but
you got a little disrespectful yourself there.
That's where you took
no,
it.
no.
I didn't mean to.
That's where you went with it. You didn't keep it at the conversation at hand.
Because the conversation at hand was inappropriate, in my opinion. So I flew off the handle a little bit.
A little bit. Just a little bit there. But you did have a nice night out. And I told you would enjoy Ben Folds.
I did enjoy it. I like that Annie song.
Yeah.
Annie keeps waiting. She's waiting and waiting.
It's all going to work out for her.
Yeah.
I think. I don't know how Ben feels about it.
Then he played the Godfather theme at one point. I was like, this is awesome.
Scott and Phil, you're in Fez.
Yeah, wow. This may be a little trivial at this point, but I was wondering if Dave got high with Stinky.
I said that, well, I don't know if Stinky wants to be implicated in any of this business, but we had a great time.
You don't have the name Stinky without enjoying yourself.
Yeah. We had a great time, and I owe it all to him.
Then later he's high and driving down the road, driving down 95.
We had a great time.
And hopefully we don't lose Ben Folds.
Look at you two laughing together again. I'll give Fezzy this. When the heat turns on him is when he gets calm. When the crazier you got, the calmer he started acting.
All right. That's fine. That's fine with me.
He needs to keep you at bananas for him to feel normal.
That's good. I'll sacrifice. I'll go with bananas. I'll sacrifice.
You went.
I'll sacrifice. Whatever you want me to do, Fez. As they say. I'm here to please you. But I don't think that...
I get sarcasm, even if Watley doesn't.
But I don't think that it was necessary for you to comment on how my family handles their non-air situations.
Every bit of it you brought up. I didn't announce who your babysitter was.
It was brought up because I
didn't
asked.
announce drawing a line in the sand on Saturday
I'm
night.
sorry,
I didn't do any of that. I don't know why you're so mad at me.
Who came up with the daycare situation
Well, dude,
again? It's
if you
always
don't
the
know why
daycare.
he's mad at you, apparently this has been going on a long time.
He always brings up the goddamn daycare. That's all he brings up. Wasn't his job to get... If we're all going to tie it back in and shoot really straight here, wasn't he supposed to be responsible for helping me out with this company? Mm-hmm. And I don't want it out of your pocket. I wanted it from the people, from what I deserve. It was his responsibility 2 years ago, and a year ago, and 6 months ago. And I'm in the same fucking boat that I am in.
And I've been down the hallway several times. And
Well,
when it didn't
Yeah,
work,
but not working is not a fucking, excuse.
And you don't talk to me about it. If you talk to me about it, then I would say, all right, well, thank you for trying. Now you say that, so it makes me not believe you.
and I tried a different direction, and now you're mad about that still.
I don't know what any of these directions are. Why keep me in the dark if you're talking about me? Then, but now I call you out on it and you bring it up. It makes it sound like a fib.
Super Trucker, you're my Fez.
Hey, what's up, guys? Dave, I have waited so long for that rant, man. Kudos to you, brother. If you get paid on what you contribute to the show, you and Fez's salary ought to be switched. Stop talking and try crying, man. You'll be rolling in the dough. See you.
I'm not doing anything. I'm not asking for anything.
And somebody just showed me a thing about a Washington daycare that stayed open after E. coli was found.
There you go. Let's put him in. Let's put Stan there. Because daycare centers are the... What job?
Do you want me to talk about it, or you don't want me to talk about it?
What job is my wife going to get all of a sudden to put us in the money?
I didn't say in the money. I said either, afford the better insurance. You're talking about just tolls and gasoline.
Afford better insurance. There is nothing I can do about the insurance. The insurance sucks.
Tony in Florida, you're on Run of Fez.
Tony from Florida?
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone's got to point this out, Dave. I love you, man, but ever since you've been high-end, you've been having some mood changes here.
There's been mood swings with you.
Yeah.
I didn't smoke last night, Saturday, and that's bullshit. I've come in happy. I came in happy today. Listen to last week's show. Don't do revisionist history. I was happy all week. So, Fez brought up the fucking thing that sets me off, and he knows it, so that's why he did it, I'm sure, which is the daycare thing. It always comes back to him offering the daycare, which would have not helped my family.
You weren't happy about photos or picnics last week.
Photos. You weren't happy the whole goddamn week. Are we going to go over the fucking...
I don't know what the photos or picnics were.
Neither
I don't
do
know
I.
what the hell you're talking about.
The guy said you had mood swings. You said no. You were happy all
Says
last
the mood
week.
swing
So
king. Says the guy who cries on the air every day.
I didn't say it. The caller did.
No, but you're agreeing with him.
Dave has taken off his headphones about 9 times now.
You take shots at me constantly. I'm bringing up stuff that you brought up.
They're jokes. When you joke at me, I don't fucking get I don't get upset about it.
I think it's a joke that you had Sheepy babysit your kids.
Why? Were you there? Did you do it?
No.
And were the kids fine?
Luckily.
Not luckily. They were fine. They were fine. And if we're going to talk about mood swing, I mean, you're going to agree with the guy on mood. Just listen to last week's show and then tell me if I was mood. Give me a break. We fucking have a long range of emotions every show, every week, and we're not going to play revisionist history. Thanks. I came in happy as a clan today. My goal for one, I predicted on the Ron Fez show, Phil Mickelson will win. Remember? And I won.
Here is Shane in Houston. You're on Ron Fez.
Dave, quit whining. You're starting to sound like Opie.
Opie? That would, well, A,
You
there's no
fuck-
reason
you're
to
whining
take a
as
shot
much
at him.
as Opie.
Okay, that's fine.
Why drag open to
I know.
this?
Yeah.
He's a fucking class act. That's what he is. I know, right. I am whining. You're right about that. That's me. That's Davey Max Forte.
CJ in Florida. You're on Ron Fez.
In Florida.
Yeah, that's what I have.
Sorry, don't want...
What do you think I did? Made it up?
Okay, sorry. Hey, Fez, first of all, my fiance works at a preschool, and it's like a glorified daycare, and I still wouldn't recommend anybody to send their kids there. You can't trust these people. They're not educated. They're not trained. They just get these hourly jobs. They clock in, they clock out, and they don't care. And second of all, Dave, calm down, man. Don't disrespect people on purpose because they did it on accident.
What?
He's saying that Fez disrespect you because he doesn't know what he's doing. But
He's done it to me a million times, and we've had versions of this argument every time. But they're calm, and then I get more excited, and then a year, 6 months ago, I was more excited, and now I'm very excited because every time it gets brought up, I get more and more excited because I don't understand how it gets brought up.
It got brought up when you talked about your babysitter. And my simple question was, how is one different than the other?
You don't think that putting a person that we've known for a decade in charge of a kid for 2 hours is different than total strangers watching your kids every day for 8 hours? You don't think there's a difference there? There's a huge difference.
Not when I said you pick out the person, whether they come to the house or you take the kids there.
Why would I invite a stranger to my house? And why wouldn't my wife just watch the kids? That doesn't make sense.
Let's give Sheepy the benefit here. He pulled it off. Sheepy is now prepared to watch everybody's children.
I'm not even saying that.
He pulled it off. Let's give him the benefit.
I'm just saying I'm happy that, we were able to get out for a couple hours and it didn't cost us any
Got
money.
out, had some fun. Sheepy did it. You came back, the house wasn't on fire. What more could you ask for?
No.
You pulled it off.
It wasn't. The house was very, very fire retardant that night.
Here's Will. Charlotte, you're on Run Fez.
Hey, Dave. I've been listening to the show for a while. You don't react well when the shoe's on the other foot. You humiliated Fez. The piece in the face was humiliating to Fez. But then when he turns around on you, you can't take it. It's not Fez's fault.
What the fuck are you talking about?
It's not Fez's fault that you're a fuck-up and your wife is the only thing keeping that family together. You're lucky
shut
you
up.
still have the
You
fucking
don't know
kid.
who I am. You don't know my fucking
It's
family.
Dave. It's you, Dave.
Yeah, and he's not humiliated. Dude, I would welcome Fez to push my face in pizza.
Why?
Because it would hurt less than you bringing up your daycare thing every single time.
Bruce in Wisconsin, you're on Fez.
I just have a point. Dave lost it. Yes, he did. I think he's feeling underappreciated. But Fez picks. He picked at Dave's
wife not working before?
For 4 months. People forget the fact that Fez went after my wife every day for last summer. Last summer it was bang his wife.
What?
It was bash his wife for entire summer. The fact that I fucking didn't lose my shit last summer, but yeah,
and no one was going after me at all, of course.
No, I fucking am. And guess what? I'll tell the goddamn world that I too have been victim of radio identity theft. Yeah, Fez, I was a victim of identity theft. People have been fucking taking credit cards out under my name and fucking destroying my credit. This is the first time I said it, because you pushed me to that thing. I didn't come in and accuse you or a conspiracy of fucking people about it. But guess what? That's happened to me, too. That's also added to my stress.
I think Fez was behind that.
Ron, I'm not going to go into crazy fucking that type of thought that he went to last summer. You know why? Because I don't believe it. Because that would be nuts. Just like it was nuts to think that me and my wife, or just anyone that we know, was behind his identity theft. I have to straighten this fucking thing out now, because now my credit is so fucked up. And guess what? This has been happening apparently for 2 or 3 years, which is why my credit's been fucked up. I just found out.
I talked about the coincidences. Other people going through the same things that I've had trouble with. Other people getting harassing phone calls.
So have I. So then we're on the same fucking thing. It's the same fucking guy who calls up, has cum taste, calls up, it's special delivery, has Beanie's cunt smell. It's the same guy.
Did you answer?
I said that she said it has a nice aroma to it. Big fucking deal. It's like fresh tulips.
Here's Chad in New Hampshire. You're on Fez.
Hey, guys, you're doing a great fucking job. Davey, you need to calm down a little bit and possibly try some Zoloft. I heard it works for some people. Don't take it out on Fezzy so much. Maybe he is genuinely trying to help you out. But realistically, you got to tone it down a little bit and don't lose your shit so much. People won't take you seriously.
All right, let me just go to this. I come in here all the time. You guys just sitting quietly. I ask if you meet about stuff before the show, before I get here. No. Why hasn't anyone ever quietly said, do we have a problem? Can we work this out? Why do you wait till it blows up on the air?
Because I didn't think that we did. But
you're obviously still holding on to fucking things that piss you off.
He never brings up the daycare center shit off the air. Never. And he brings it up on the air.
Why are you locked into the daycare center? Why did you want his kids to have daycare?
I tried to think of the best way I could help out Dave's family.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I came up with. Was it a perfect plan? I guess not. But I thought it added the most value.
What did it do?
What it would have done is have the kids be watched by responsible people during the day. Maybe then Casey could go out and get a job, supplement
That's incredibly insulting, but you wouldn't understand that because you're not married. Because you're not married. But having some guy be like, this is what I want your wife to do is incredibly over the fucking line. Incredibly. I would never tell anyone who's married, you know what, Brian? This is what I want your wife to do. Here, I'm going to lay out a plan so that your wife can...
That wasn't a demand. I laid it out to you. It was, here's my idea.
I so delicately turned it down that day.
Right.
And by the way...
And Ron's offered you ideas, but you come after me.
What do you mean Ron's offered me ideas?
Ron's offered you ideas about getting a sports show.
And
about how to talk to the bosses.
And I did it too. And I talked to the bosses.
It's no fucking different.
Here's Tom in Virginia.
No.
You're on Run Fez.
No, it's entirely different. Those ideas that Ron has are logical, and as a result, I did them. But your idea was...
It's illogical for people to take their kids to daycare and be a two-income family. That's illogical in this country.
It's illogical for you to demand that my wife does whatever she does.
I didn't demand anything. Where are you getting this demand from, Dave?
Fez,
honestly.
By paying the daycare, you're making my wife go out and work, right?
If that would be her opportunity, then.
But again, what job could she get?
To bring more money into the house. We talked about you. We talked about you getting a second job. You said there's not enough hours in the day with your commute.
There aren't. There's not. So I do not have that as an option. And my wife, I don't know what kind of job.
You didn't explode then when we talked about that on the air.
Because, Fez, I didn't explode because I was being respectful, but you keep bringing it up. Every time you bring it up, I get more and more exacerbated in case you notice.
And it's no different of an idea except for me throwing money into it. It's no more different of an idea. But you didn't get upset about that. You got upset about this, and you're still upset about it.
It's entirely different because you didn't come to me off the air. And if we're going to go back and where this is, you came up with this idea after bashing my wife for 3 months.
Right.
Not the best timing. Would you agree with that?
I think it was the perfect timing because if you remember,
my head hurts.
If you remember, right?
Just seriously, you guys are even fucking boring me right now.
I'm not trying to bore anyone.
I can't go back fucking 2 years ago.
Seriously.
Just stop it. Just fucking stop it.
All right.
At one point during the back and forth, you pointed out Fez didn't have a personal life, and you go, thank fucking Jesus for Ron Bennington and all he does for me. And like that set up Fez some, but then post Hicks kind of calming you down some, and you go, I just thank Ron and Fez.
I mean, now I'll take shots at myself. That's me trolling. I mean, not trolling. Ron did do a lot. What I'm saying is that's me trolling Fez.
Right. And then by the end, you go, thank Ron Bennington and Fez Whatley for all they've done. Like, I really couldn't be appreciative. And like, that's kind of the moment where it's come full circle. You could see a little bit that you realize you may have blown up too far. You want to keep working for the show.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the first time, and sadly, it's not the last time. But life goes on, Robert.
In that moment, you go, I just want to know why Fez feels the need to be involved. He says he's trying to help, but it feels like he's trying to control. And I think
life goes on, I mean that I'm Corky Romano. Anyway, go ahead.
And he goes, I think it clicks. I think it clicks for Fez because he kind of realizes where you're coming from, where it feels manipulative, not beneficial. And it does calm down some. And then the callers call in, and they start to kind of they're split on the issue. Some guys are calling in. Someone was like, thanks, Dave. I just yelled at my boss like that. Now I'm fired. And that's a fair point. Another one calls in and goes, no, like, it seems like this has been a long time brewing, and Dave's right. Fez, you should help him in whatever way, pay him back for helping you. One caller points in something interesting, and I found it particularly interesting, where he goes, did you smoke a little bit with Stinky Dave? And you go, yeah, why? And you go, I haven't smoked in 3 days. He goes, ever since you started puffing the puff, you got these mood swings. Ron goes, yeah, you got mood swings. And I thought maybe that's where some of this, Rob, why do you smoke weed? You got these mood swings comes from, is because it was ingratiated onto you.
No, I was not. So wait a second. You're taking the fact that I've said that to you. I've been concerned. That's all.
Oh,
I've been concerned sometimes.
I was just teasing.
I know. No, I mean, I've been smoking forever, so no, it wouldn't be that. But no, I think it was stress, man. It happens in life. You have, good phases and bad phases. Probably much less to do with the show than, in all honesty, personal life stuff. Absolutely. And that can be stressful. And then when you're on the air, it's like, yeah, that comes out sometimes. You know, I'm going through a lot right now. Like this week, I've got one thing after another. I refuse to let it prevent us from recording Davey Max Tales from Satellite. So I hope you're all happy. But in all honesty, I'm not going to go into it, and you're not going to force me to go into it, Robert. But there's a lot of stuff going on. It's a very challenging week. And so it's just, it manifests occasionally when you're on the air. Because Absolutely. If you're a little bit burnt out and stuff like that, even if you're performing, you're just going to go a little bit nuts. At least that's me. Maybe I shouldn't say you. I'll say me. This is what happens with me. It's that, the stress, you're having fun, you're in the moment, stress, you want to be in the moment, stress, want to bring passion, stress, here comes craziness, which might not otherwise be there.
But the the one thing, and I think I'm fortunate because I got to learn from you firsthand how to be a producer and then how to be on air. Like even doing this, you provide feedback and stuff like that. So I learned from your school, but from early on, man, you've always said the shittiest weather makes the best radio, and you've made that a philosophy for life. Like you turn the
Right.
bad stuff
Yeah.
good, and you put the energy in. But the
Well,
one
'cause
thing I think it's
bad things that happen to you always make good radio, right?
yeah,
Now, if like folks have been listening to the Davey Max Sports program, I've brought up that I've had like one crazy, well, not one, but I've had two crazy incidents in the past 3 months at my Acme, my supermarket, right? So that, and it's been a fun, entertaining little topic to give you my Acme supermarket things, because I mean, police have been involved. It's been great. Just go check out the Davey Max Sports program. I guess the thing is, though, when it starts to become, family, and then it can get a little tricky.
and it's funny you say this both about what's going on now that you don't want to get into it and at the time, because literally what you go into right after your rant is, I just wish we could keep the off-air stuff off air. Like there are certain things you don't want to be brought on air, even if you don't think, like if you keep your wife off air, there's less problems. You don't have to answer for what you were saying. You can be more free in the moment. It has nothing to do with you needing to protect her or not feeling
Right.
comfortable about a situation. You can be free on a topic. If we're doing a story and it involves race, everybody gets a little bit tighter because they don't want to say something that could be misconstrued from how they actually feel. So they think about everything more. They're not as free. If you're just talking about silly subjects that don't affect you personally, you can be as free as you want. You can use that energy that you're feeling from the stress in those other areas to attack something completely unrelated and get it out of your system. Like it could be cathartic. And I truly, that point really resonated with me of like, if you keep the off air stuff, keep it off air. At this point, callers are kind of split down the middle. Like I said, half of them think daycare could be a real problem and have horror stories. One guy even says he works at a daycare and wouldn't recommend anybody send their kids there. The other half just go, Dave's an idiot.
No, but I mean,
That's the other argument.
I mean, this is the point. Okay, like this is the point. And listen, not trying to throw any where I lived at the time under the bus, but Neptune, New Jersey,
Answers
isn't
the
greatest
question.
place. And honestly, even surrounding towns of Neptune weren't it was not reasonable to say, hey, drop them off at daycare, everything's going to be cool. You get very concerned about some of these places, in all honesty. So like that was another factor in my no daycare thing.
Absolutely. And at a certain point, yes, the battleground of the argument is the daycare, but the war is not over the daycare. It's about everything else that's going. Like this might be the issue where it's taking hold now, but it wasn't necessarily about this in particular. But the last point that people really make and you kind of emphasize is, since you came to the new company, it's been Fez's responsibility to work with the company on your behalf to get you a raise from the company. And you go, I don't want the money from Fez Watley. I want the money from Sirius XM. I think I deserve that.
That's the truth. That's the truth. Because it's what I earned. It's what I deserved. And I was sick and tired of, talking to Rob Cross or Steve Blatter. I mean, Steve Blatter with the whole, well, what do you do? What are you talking about? I produce. Well, I mean, what's something you produce? Board Gossip, Guy Geyerson, Inventions. Those are all on-air characters. What? Well, those are all on-air characters. Like you're just doing on-air stuff. Like, what do you produce?
That's producing, not
That's
production.
Producing. I'm coming up with something in my head. I'm writing it down. I'm getting the music and stuff for the audio elements. And then I'm putting it out on the air. Yeah, that's producing. It's just actually really awesome producing because it's one guy doing what it took for O&A guys to do, 4 guys to do the job of one. So, yeah, that's producing.
Absolutely.
There was no convince. They couldn't understand it. That was the issue. And I'd love to know how much Chris Stanley is making right now. Not out of jealousy. I love him. I just said I love Pepper. But
Yeah.
I'd love to know. I'd love to know if they realized,
A lot of people say Davey Mack walked so Chris Pepper could run. I get it.
yeah.
But there is something to be said about, too, even if you, let's say Fez was going to give you $2,000 a month out of pocket, and the raise he could get you from Sirius was $1,000 a month. The money you're making because somebody else is acknowledging your worth is worth more than the money Fez was going to give you because he feels bad.
Yeah, I wouldn't have wanted it. I just wanted the raise from Sirius XM.
Absolutely.
I just wanted the raise that I deserved. Even if they came back and said, okay, look, Davey Mack, you want to go from 37 to 60. How about 37 to 50? Probably take it, Robert.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be an ass. Like, I'd probably go, you know what? Okay, sign me up. Like, that's what it was. They came back with 38,500, a raise of $1,500. Not
a
even,
month total.
Yeah, total.
Yeah.
So what? That's whatever. That's $100 a month or whatever it is.
And that's not even really enough. Like, if you're making 1,000, they're acknowledging your worth. You're getting the ball rolling. 6 months from now, you can negotiate for more. You know what I mean? This was just almost like shut up money. That was less that, but
It
that
was
they offered
to
you.
tell Ron and Fez, we gave him a raise. Don't know why he's complaining. You gave me nothing. $100 a month is not, come on, man. I'm talking about changing my salary, not go 37 to 38.5, but 37 to go to 50K. Nice and simple. Or, well, I was talking about 60K, but then if they had come back and go, okay, we'll give you 50, I'm signing.
Yeah, of course. And if they offered you that right now, you'd sign.
Probably.
Yeah. So if you're Rob Cross, I know Dave's been a little harsh. If you're out there,
that ain't happening.
Holla at your boy Rob. Anyway, that kind of sums up this episode. You guys settle, but it's an awkward piece. Like, it's clearly a detente, not a full treaty of Versailles or anything.
I remember
crazy.
it well. I remember this part well, which was, I remember it being Rod going, so it looks like we're all good, right? And Fez going, yeah, we're fine. I'm fine. And then I'm going, well, actually, Ron. Rod goes, no, we're all good. We're all good.
We're all good. Which was the right move by Ron.
He was done. He was done.
He even at one point goes, guys, this is starting to bore me.
No. I just, he was done. He was done. He was done. He was done with it.
At one point, Fez starts to point out all the trauma he's been through. And like one of the things, and then you go, I've gone through all the same stuff. And you even point out that you've had your identity stolen multiple times now, much like Fez had, and you didn't come in and attack everybody.
Well, since you brought it up, might as well bring it, because that's a fascinating topic. So he did accuse either me or the ex of somehow breaking into his bank account and stealing money
from the account itself. Yeah.
Now again, I've never been a litigious person, but that is actual like libel or slander. I don't know what the hell. Like. First of all, it's so crazy. Like, who am I? Tom Cruise Mission Impossible? Like, I don't know how to do those things, and neither is she. Okay?
No.
I don't know how to do those things. And, for the record, just so it's answered, of course I did not, nor never steal anybody from Fez, okay? nor I didn't break into his account. No one I knew broke into his account.
No.
Okay. No one I knew broke into his account or with a fake identity stole money from him. It was more than likely someone overseas or, just a hacker.
Unrelated to the show. Yeah. Completely. They just got him. Yeah.
Probably has nothing to do with any of the Ron and Fez people. It's just some online hacking job. I tried to keep my cool with that one.
Oh, you did. And well, you know what? That might actually be a good episode to do down the road a little bit. I remember vividly listening to that episode one Black Friday, folding clothes to be shipped out of a Dick's Sporting Goods and being like, this is great radio. So maybe we'll look into that. But did you actually have your identity stolen? and people take credit cards out, and so that was 100% true. I didn't know if that was trolling to get under Fez's skin.
Sadly, I actually think it's happened. Like, so can I tell you something since it's actually got Pepper to deal with it?
Sure.
All right, so this is something that only you know. There is a reason why Pepper and I will never call each other, ever. And it's got nothing to do with any sort of fallout situation. I don't know how this is possible. Some guy has hacked only me and Pepper's phone to the point where when Pepper gets a call from me, it's this hacker, and he has the same story. I hit his car, and he owes me money. Or he calls me, and it comes up. What I'm saying is it comes up as Pepper on my phone.
Does he do a Dave impression?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, wait. So it just says Chris Pepper Stanley. And then I pick up the phone, and it's just this guy. I don't think he ever gives his name, so I don't know. Like, so maybe he thinks like I will have forgotten what Pepper's voice sounds like. So because he never gives his name, so he just goes, "Yo, you hit my car. I'm calling the cops unless you wire me $2,000." They're like, "Yo, you hit my car, man." I'm like, "It was you," and yeah. So we are linked by this same scam artist. It doesn't happen with anyone else. When you call me, I pick up. It's so only us two. So the only chance we can go is without like knowing for a fact it's the other one is only via text. So we can't actually call each other, sadly, but we can text. But I guess we probably could if I was like, Pepper, this is me.
I'm calling you now.
I'm calling you now. Then I guess it would work. But we don't even take the chance. We just
why would you?
So have you heard of anything like this?
No, but that seems like a
Anyone
brilliant
else
scam.
in my phone can call me, and it's just fine. So occasionally I'll get texts from Pepper. Hey, did you just call me? He's like, hey, what's up? What's up? I just got 2 missed calls from you. Sorry, I was sleeping because it was like 1 o'clock in the morning.
And you're like, nope, that was Earl.
I'm
pretending
like,
to be
that's
a
our
hacker.
hacker, dog. So now we have a little text conversation where we actually laugh about it. We're like, just to confirm, did our hacker just call you? And he's like, oh, yep, our hacker just called me. I'm like, all right, thanks, buddy. Yeah, it definitely wasn't me. So that's a weird one, right? So that's a case of identity stolen, to go back to the Fezzy thing. So that's actually going on right now as we speak. Very odd.
Identity stolen yet again, David McDonald. As we get out of here,
somebody got to call up Bennington and ask Pepper about that, because
we should. That would be pretty good.
It's very, very odd. I've never experienced that before in our lives. Only 2 people. Again, anyone else can call me. It's fine. Anyone else can call Pepper. His phone's fine.
Just
somehow only when he calls me or it says Dave's calling you is it this guy who's asking for $2,000. $2,000 he asked for.
It's Black Earl.
No, but I just realized I'm not like that's the number.
Yeah, it's Black Earl.
God, that's so funny. What a
he
weird
stored his number in
coincidence.
both of your phones as the other guy's name, and then he just calls you once a month and goes, "Yo, where that $2,000? You hit my car."
I am telling you, if it's Earl Douglas, I will call him the king for life. I will call him my king, because it would be the single greatest prank of all time. Even though it's not on the air, it would be the single greatest prank of all time. If it's Earl Douglas, I will call him my king and Lord and Savior for the rest of time and do whatever he says. And the next time I see him, I will bow to him and kiss his feet.
Well, don't do the last part. That's just weird. But on that note, we're going to get out of here with one last point, which is Ron points out that since Dave got Fez all worked up, this is the highest energy he's seen him in months. He's much higher energy now than when the show started. And it's once again, I think you two were both doing whatever you could in the moment. Like, you were living through the hell. Fez's hell was in his head. And you were both doing whatever you could to make great radio. And unfortunately, it was just a cat fight between you two.
Yeah, I mean, it was. It was something that was kind of pretty serious. I mean, pretty real. Rather than, as we discussed all the way back when we began this show, was the pizza face incident was a work. Again, I will never, ever, ever lie or be insincere. Pizza, when I lost the bet, smashed Fez's face into pizza, it's a work, okay?
Funny you bring that up. because one of the callers even
went
goes
over
to
it before the show. We said this is what we're going to do, and that was a work. This, I'm being honest, no
was
work.
a shoot.
No work. Yeah. Probably a work turned into a shoot, which happens in wrestling all the time. Guys are working at first. Oh, you stink, you stink, you stink. And then someone says something a little too much, and then too much. And next thing you know, they actually do hit each other. You know, I mean, we've seen it a million times. Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And what I was saying about the pizza thing is it was so funny you bring that up because a caller calls in and goes, how would you feel if Fezzi smashed her face in pizza right now? Wouldn't that be more disrespectful? And you go, I wish he would do that right now. Which is, if you know the behind the scenes, it's kind of a moment of you going like, I wish we could go back to that moment.
Robert, thank you for saying that. I guarantee you, it at least would have went through my mind just saying it was a work. You got conned, you stupid Rube. But then Ron would have killed me.
You would have been fired.
He would have beat me to death with the cowbell and would have deserved to do so.
Yeah.
I would have actually said, you know what? You're right, Ronnie B. Just
hit me over the
put
head.
my corpse at least somewhere nice, or burn me up and sprinkle me on Yankee Stadium, something like that. Because I would have deserved it had I did it then. That's what this show is for, though.
And instead of going down that path, if you think about it, what you really did is you took a step back and went, yeah, I wish we could go to that moment, Fez. It was kind of like a olive branch to bring the show full circle. Like Fez thought he was offering the olive branch. It was kind of your way of being like, remember how good we used to be?
No, if I said that in my head, it was probably saying, yeah, that
damn.
worked. That was a work.
Okay.
And now I'm still getting all this hate.
Yep. And to this day, you still get hate. People in the comments will still say it. So on that note, this has been Tales from the Satellite. You're all dumb. You got worked. Right, Dave? You tell them.
No, no one's dumb. We're not going to insult our audience. We're the only people listening and watching this show. We're not going to call them dumb. Those are for the people who really don't listen to Tales from the Satellite. The people who do, and I mean, there's only 4 on the planet Earth at this point, but they're the people who got work. But never Tales from the Satellite fans. They're the smart ones.
Absolutely. I was just teasing. And I love all of you in particular that said we should go to Six Flags. We're going to work that out for perhaps the next
I think it's going to happen. And don't blame me, Davey Mack. You blame Robert and you blame yourselves because apparently a lot of Tales from the Satellite fans want to hear this or see or hear. Are we good? It would be a video too?
Yeah,
or we're just going to do audio?
No, it'd be video. We got it all planned out. It's going to be a great day.
I haven't heard of this. I haven't heard this plan yet.
It's going to be a fantastic day, buddy. You and I are just going to have some fun.
All right.
On that note, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to everything across the Davey Mack universe. Lots of fun stuff going on. Tell a friend, share the clips. We're killing it on social media. Dave, what do you got? And we'll get out of here.
Davey Mack sports program. Robert, myself, Roy Harder. Do it every single Monday at noon on noon Eastern on YouTube. Just go to Eastside Dave TV, watch us. We then upload the MP4, a cleaner MP4, and we upload the audio. If you only listen to the podcast, it's available on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, etc. Yaddle Chattel is back. Going to do another episode. Tales from Q&A, $5 tier. Oh, there's a whole bunch of stuff. The Eastside Dave and Son Wrestling Show. Make sure you're subscribing. I want you to be subscribing and sharing Eastside Dave TV. We've gotten a lot of subscribers lately. Just this past January or so, I had about 5,000. It was like, I think it was 5,000, 5.4. So 5,000, 400 people. I believe last I checked, it was like 6.8 or 6.9. I want to get to 7. I want to get to then 10,000. So what I'm saying is we've gone up by 1,000 people in only the last month or two. This is a very, very, very good thing. Okay? To get 1,000 people joining us in the last couple months, thank you. Excellent. Please keep spreading that Eastside Dave TV because I'm telling you, we got so much good stuff. It's unbelievable. And that's it, Robert. I'm good to go, baby.
Thank you guys for tuning in. This has been another lovely episode of Tales from the Satellite. I'm Bobby Tamburo. That's Eastside Dave. And tell him, Dave.